morning. At the request of one of my YouTube subscribers, I have pulled out my personal OS FS-26 Surpass engine today for a run. This particular subscriber asked that I run this engine with 0% nitro fuel, which I don't have on hand. It's not a fuel that I normally run with. So I told him I'd go to my local hobby store and see if they actually carried it. And after his donation for the fuel, they did actually have a gallon of Morgan's Omega FAI fuel, which just so happens to be 0% nitro. It's 17% lubricant, 30% is castor, 70% is synthetic oil. So I haven't run this particular engine in probably 4 or 5 months. I have an APC 96 prop on it, OSF glow plug, and let me put some of this 0% nitro fuel in here and we'll give it a run and see how it does. Really sure this fuel is agreeing with this engine. Either that or I've got to clean my carb up. I don't know. The needle settings were very erratic. Okay, so that first run was somewhat interesting. Like I said, I hadn't run this engine in probably 4 or 5 months, and it was obviously much cooler and less humid then. It's just weird with this needle valve on this particular engine. It seemed like very small changes really drastically affected it. I don't know if it's the needle valve assembly itself or if it's this fuel. But our current conditions here are 86 degrees, feels like 89. What's our humidity? So humidity is high. Humidity is 63% with a dew point of 72, and it's 86 degrees. So those are also contributing factors. I've also just taken the OSF plug out, and I put in a Hanger 9 four-stroke plug that was actually in this engine to begin with. I put an OSF plug in there that I had laying around because that's what the subscriber that requested this, he was running. So I'm going to change plugs and see if it changes the behavior of this engine at all, so I can try and eliminate, a variable here and see if it's the fuel, my needle valve settings, or my carb, or whatever. This was a good running engine last time I ran it, so I don't know what's going on with it now. The only thing that's different is the plug and the fuel. But so we got a Hanger 9 glow four-stroke plug in here now, and same tank of fuel. Fire it up. It's not completely cooled. I'll see if it'll hand start. If not, I've got my electric starter here. Well, as you can see, the engine runs on that fuel. I don't know that it particularly cares for it or not. And I've had some issues lately with air bleed carbs on all of my engines, running them this month and the month prior. I just personally think that this high humidity and temperature makes setting an air bleed carb a little bit more challenging. As you can see, I really wasn't able to get this thing to idle too reliably below 2800, if even that. Maybe it's because of the size of the prop. Maybe if I put a little bit larger prop on it at 10.6, it might get a little bit lower idle, but wasn't really willing to do too much below that. And I've got that air bleed screw basically all the way open, as lean as it can go, and it still sounded like it was wanting to load up a little bit. Top end was a little bit better after I blew through the carb, but it still seemed to kind of surge a little bit. Like I said, I don't know if that's a characteristic of this engine not really liking this fuel or what, because I didn't do a baseline run on this engine with just my standard 10% Omega, but I can do that. But this is going to be a long video, because if I don't edit it and I show all the steps I went through to try to, or all the effort I went through to get this thing the low end tuned, it's going to be a pretty long video. But you can see it did run. I hope this satisfies your curiosity about running the Omega FAI 0% nitro fuel.